what is your background with living DNA?
So I got involved in Living DNA in 2013. I met my husband David, who's now my business partner. We're both the co-founders, and I hadn't really ever even thought about it before because I'm Australian and now we don't really have much history.
I agree.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
So I hadn't considered it. My background is in marketing, and so David tried to do a DNA company where it was kind of like the Amazon of DNA testing, which meant that he put absolutely everything on one website, and I found it very complicated. So I came in and I helped start to separate out the brand so that we have a specific market that deals with DNA legal and works with reconstructing family and across the UK. And we used to just resell ancestry tests, but what we started to look at was, well, what's actually needed in the market? What do people want? And what we started to see was, certainly within Europe, people wanted to get more detail about where they were from. They didn't want to just be told that they're European or they're just from a country. They wanted to know where, because a lot of Europeans generally know their family history, but it's giving that extra level of detail that's interesting to them. So that's why we started to build a test that could actually start to break down countries within regions. So the first place that we did that was the British Isles, which we can now break down into 21 regions. And what that started to do was help people just build their history and their connections and their stories and give them that extra level that made it interesting. And the second thing about Europe is that we have a very strict privacy and data protection acts, and it's only getting tougher.
It's getting worse.
So we had to really look at, you know, if we're gonna give a test that Europeans are interested in, then we have to make sure that it's compliant with what people are wanting. So that's why our policies are that we don't sell your DNA, that we simply just store it and keep it for you, and if you want to destroy it, we'll destroy it for you. But we have it in our German labs. They're pretty tough to get into.
Yeah.
And we make sure that it keeps that way. So David and I own the business 100%. And the reason that we do that is because we know what's happening to your data, and we keep that going in terms of how it works with a lot of academic partners around the world, so a lot of universities. We have data sets that we're using through universities, so that's how we're getting a lot of our information.
That's what my question is going to be, is what do you do that's different?
Yeah.
That you get the more... You get down to the regions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how you.
So
yeah.
There was a paper published from the University of Bristol called "The Peopling of the British Isles."
Oh yeah.
And that was where people were tested in all different parts of the British Isles, but they had to be very specific, right? It had to be that they had all four grandparents from within, I think, 50 miles of each other. So it was extremely specific in the data sets that were captured. We've exclusively licensed that program and that software and that information, which means that we've been able to use it and then build on it. So the peopling of the British Isles took it so far, but what we've started to do is look at not only the DNA from each area, but in what order is that DNA put together. And that means that we can really start to crystallize whereabouts within a country your DNA is from. And so we're taking it just not only across the British Isles, because that takes time and power to get up and running, but we're starting to expand those projects all over the world. We want to open that up globally, break the world down into regions globally where we can, and make sure that people start to feel those connections.
So from the British Isles, where have you moved now? Where have you moved from the British Isles? Or countries?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Not you personally.
No, not you personally.
So British Isles is one that's up and running.
Yep.
The other projects that are on the cards at the moment is Germany. So breaking Germany down into specific regions. That's already up and running.
That's already up and running?
Yep. So it isn't live yet, but it's the project has started. We're collecting the samples. Again, it's about finding those very niche, specific samples from pieces of parts of Germany. We're also doing the same thing in Ireland.
Oh, great.
And in Scotland. And the reason
fabulous.
that those three areas are the focus is because if you look at a map of the USA, you see that the majority of ancestry of Americans has traces back to either Germany or Ireland. So those are two really key areas for Americans to say, okay, but how do I connect back to that? How do I know? But somebody in Germany, we've got to make it interesting for them. So it's working together. It's getting everyone to work together to give something back to everyone to see how accessible it is.
So if someone tests now and you don't quite have it in the results,
you'll get it.
Then they'll get more and more refined results the more your database grows.
Absolutely. You know, that as we expand into different countries and regions across the world, that all gets updated as we go in your ancestry at no extra cost. You do the test today. But the reason that we're called living DNA is because we expect that those results will keep changing, keep evolving, that the more people that test, the more people that add in their data, the more people we connect with, the better it is for everyone else.
So how long do you keep the samples?
We keep the samples for as long as you'll let us keep doing the updates.
Okay.
So if you want to destroy it, great, we'll do it. But as long as we can, you know, provide the updates, we have the samples to keep reanalyzing and pulling from.
So you'll run it through as the test gets better, you'll just run it through again and again.
Exactly. Keep refining.
And so you're great for Australia too.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
We're wanting to do a project, and we've started to kick it off with Aboriginal people in Australia. So what we've started to do is work with some of the more Indigenous communities. Now what we have to be careful of or look at is that in the past, DNA has been used to abuse communities and to not give them what they should be given. So we have to work very carefully with these communities to really help them and educate them on the power of connecting to people. And what this means is that if we have a set of Aboriginal ancestry, we help other people understand what groups they're from. We help the Aboriginals connect to more people that they're connected to. And so it's not about isolating groups, it's about connecting them. It's about showing how we all fit in.
Well, that's good.
That's so wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you tell us how the 3-in-1 test works? Because it said a man and a woman and then but if I'm not a man, do I get the man side tested? Do I give it to my dad?
Yeah, so the reason that we've done the 3-in-1 is because it just gives that higher bit of detail, right? So if I do the test as a woman, what I'm going to get is what we call like the family line. So that's kind of the mix of all the men and all the women in your family, right? And that's traditionally what most of the companies will use as their basis. That gives you already the ethnic breakdown, which is mostly what people want to see, and it's cool and it's exciting. But as a woman with living DNA, I also get to see my direct mother line. What that means is it singles out the strand of my mother's 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 mother's.
So it's a mitochondrial test.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So it's mitochondria.
So you get the 3-in-1.
But the 3-in-1 kit is different. Like what I think I did was just autosomal.
So
This you would have been going up.
No, you would have had your mother line as well.
Oh, okay.
On your results, you would have had your direct mother line.
Okay.
So women get the mitochondrial and the autosomal DNA in their results. But within the autosomal is, of course, the men in the family.
Yeah.
Men get their direct Y line as well. So they get the three things singled out and broken out. And we always knew that there's got to be something cool about, you know, these strands. We can't discount it. There's got to be something, because firstly, those strands, like the mother's mother's mother, father's father's father, are ancient. So they can take you back for 80,000 years, which helps us put the results into context. But as well as that, we've just launched Family Networks, which is the genetic matching feature. And what we find is that by using the mitochondrial and the Y DNA as well as the autosomal, it actually helps you refine down your matches. So you can see matches on your mother's side and your father's side, and it helps reconstruct the genetic tree. So actually there's a huge purpose in testing all three.
So you make it a bit easier for dummies like me to interpret those results.
Yeah,
because I've got my mtDNA here and I've got my autosomal at the moment, and they don't. They're separate.
Sometimes it's very difficult to get all that information. What we want to do is make it as simple as possible. We want to show you how it all fits together, and certainly with the matching and the family networks, we start to really bring that into a visual for you.
That's fabulous.
That really is. So fascinating.
Fascinating.
Yeah, we certainly, absolutely. The chromosome mapper will be part of the feature that we launch. The
second quarter.
So the beta starts in Q2, and the purpose of the beta is because everything we do is about collaboration. So we want as many people to sign up to the beta as possible to test, to help us refine, to help us get better, to help us bring you exactly what people need, so that by Q3 when we launch it globally to everyone and make it as a staple part of the feature of everybody's results, that all of a sudden it's the best that it can be. And because of that, you can, if you've already done a test with anybody else, you can upload your DNA for free on the site to get your matches. You won't get your ethnic breakdown, but you'll get your matches. We want as many people as possible to join into this pool of connection, so that we can really start to show people how we're all connected.
And you've got something here to encourage people who are at Rootstech to do that. What's that you have?
We have a little bit of an offer going on. So our kit's normally $155
something
or something like that. It's $49 for the duration of Rootstech, because we're like, come and join. Get a kit, connect.
Are you going to run out?
I hope so.
Oh!
But if we do, don't worry, we'll ship it.
Oh, beaut.
Don't worry.
Fantastic.
We got
I
internet.
should wait till you run out.
You don't have to schlep it home.
That's fabulous.
Absolutely. So the other thing is, we got an offer going on with the book bundle, so you can get a printed personalized ancestry book, and I think it's normally $70, but it's $39. So I think the bundle is $88 at the show, because that just gives you something. Again, it's all about connection this year. A book is something that's printed, that you can sit down with your family, that you can go through your results, and that you can have a conversation about where you actually come from.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic.
So, for instance, if there was a child, well, she's almost an adult, that knew nothing about her parents, she's adopted.
Yeah, great, love them.
But one thing that I would like to provide for her is an understanding of what they were talking about, the homelands and stuff.
Yeah.
Would that be, we would be talking about Central and South America, would that be something that you now have a database on?
So we cover 80 regions worldwide in terms of our test, and that is genetically, scientifically broken down. So the 80 regions cover that part of the world as well.
Okay.
And again, that's a project where we want to keep on refining those areas. So you might get that broken down into a couple of areas now, but in the future it'll keep on getting more and more refined, more and more broken down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what regions are you from?
So I'm proud to be Australian, but my ancestry will tell you a little bit of a different story. I think I have about 96% British ancestry from all over the UK. I have about 2% German ancestry, and then I think I have 1% African ancestry.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom is South African, and well, she very much rode that, claimed that. And then she did a test with us and found she was British and German and like 4% African. So she sulked about it for a little bit, but she's come to terms with it and she's now quite happy.
Well, I guess it's when you get people that uncover things that they don't expect to uncover.
Absolutely, you do.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's an education process in that too. The DNA kind of, you know, it's sometimes it can be pretty accurate and sometimes it can, you know, it'll bring up things that you didn't know that you knew. And we have somebody who's at our booth right now. He works with me. He's my marketing assistant. He's amazing. And he found out through taking a test with us that his grandfather wasn't his grandfather. So anyway, after a big show and finding that out with the help of Kirsty Gray to do some digging, she really helped him. He walked back home and walked in the door late at night and told his mum that her dad wasn't her dad and went to bed and, you know.
Oh, poor
Probably not the best way.
Oh, dear.
So it is about, it's about helping people understand that this is going to throw up things that maybe are unexpected, but we have to remember that is family only about genetics, or is it also the people that we have around us? Is it also about the fact that maybe some of our friends can feel like family? Maybe the people who raise us are just as much family as people who are genetic to us, and to never forget that.